up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy January 22nd to all of you. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag. Apologies for our late start. We have an internet issue here that we've got fixed for the show, but we have an internet issue down here in Costa Rica. So thank you so much for your patience. Great to see everybody in the chat. We have a huge show today. Only 2 NHL games. We're about to shut down for the All-Star break, but a huge NBA card, a huge NCAA basketball card. We got Parlay Poppy joining us right away to break down these 2 NHL games. I've come very close to making a move on the Wild. I still haven't pulled the trigger yet. Then we have 12 NBA games. Teddy Covers going to be joining us for those NBA games, and then a giant NCAA basketball card with Maxwell Smart joining us. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this show. We got some big things going on here at Sportsbook Review. First off, we want to thank you for subscribing to our show. We now have 60,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's all because of you, so we want to give a big thank you. Also, we have the Beat the Bag Pegasus edition popping off here very, very soon on Saturday. So we're just the post position draw is going to be today, and then we're going to hand everything out. I saw our guy Mark Unkefer jumped on the chat yesterday to join in. So a big thank you to Mark Unkefer and all of the low baggers who are going to join in this contest. Free to enter $50. Or $250, sorry, $50. $250 to the winner. Also, if you could hit the link at the bottom of the page, www.sbrvideo.com/thebag, that would mean so much to me, as this show is going to be going through some changes that we'll be talking about on Monday. So moving forward, making some changes here. And if you could hit that link, I'd be very, very, very thankful. Nice, easy night in NHL last night. We pushed on the Bruins -1, cashed the Hurricanes -1, and cashed that Panthers Blackhawks over. And Lehner looked awful in that game. We were pretty fortunate, I guess, to get there because it was 0-0 after 1. Shout out to the cappers in the chat. We got Dave Burke, Jason Fritz in the house, Mark Unkefer, Deer Slayer Ski, Omar J. Legend, Dave in Cal said I should have pulled the trigger on the Islanders. They own the Rangers. Oh, well. But they didn't over the last 9 days, so I can understand why you had trepidation, Jason. Michael MacArthur in the house. How about that basketball fight? That was nuts. Kansas State. D'Souza grabbing that chair. It doesn't matter if he doesn't swing the chair. What's he doing grabbing the chair? You're a giant. Use your fists. Why you need a weapon? Zombie Pie in the house. Jimmy Gomez, ready to get to work. Serious business. There's Mark Unkefer, my guy, Mark Unkefer in the house. Farmers only play today. Pacers +1 for Mark Unkefer. We've got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. Roman Peddle ready to get to work. Oh, Roman Peddle, I was thinking about you, man. Newfoundland snowed in like crazy. Thinking about you, man. God, glad that you're safe and sound. Okay, let's get to work. Gabriel Hernandez, Dan, Kelly, Ty, Clinton, James, Shadow in the house. 3-2 day for NHL. I told you that turning point was 2 days ago with that Red Wings first period. I'm back in plus units. I'm going to start rolling. Trotwam in the house. We need Trotwam. We're just working on a little internet issue with Trotwam as well. Trotwam will be here in action next Wednesday for Wham Talk Wednesdays, and we love him very, very much. There's Brandon Kessler. Needs some NBA locks. We're going to get that very soon. Tyclin, Jason Torgy, Yellow Jesus. All right, let's get to work. Let's do NHL. Let's rock NHL. First off, Rafa, can you pop up the NHL record? Very easy day yesterday. I'm trying just to cut down my plays and just keep things pretty simple. Last night was simple, and we're up now plus 1.69 units, and that will continue to rise. Let's bring in our guy, Parlay Poppy, in the house. Parlay Poppy, how are you doing, my man, on this Wednesday morning?
Oh, Jimmy, we're popping, man. I got caught up with some work yesterday. I didn't even get to put my plays out to the book. I didn't even tweet my plays out, so I'm a little bit frustrated because we did have a winning day. And also, I got these super weird Dungeons and Dragons looking motherfuckers trying to yell at me and Trot Wim and DJ Big Boss because we're stealing their viewers on Friday night on Twitch, my man. I don't know what's going on. I don't want these guys to hack into my computer and that weird shit. God, I don't know, Jimmy. I'm doing all right.
You don't want to mess. You don't want to mess with witches. You don't want to mess with witches. I hear that. But I'm looking forward to hammer this card with you. We got Mr. Gokster, David Chimilio. Shadow's already got his locks in. Let's go right there. I'm going to grab Shadow's place. Eric Jones, Coco Bongo. Richie Rich in the house. Richie Rich, you called that Philly-Pittsburgh game. God, that was spectacular work. The under, backing Philly team total over. God, very, 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 very impressive. Great job, Richie Rich. Okay, let's get to work. We don't have a lot of time here. Michael Spivak in the house. The team is ready to get to work. Oh, and there's Dave Burke with a 2-leg parlay. Jackets wild. Using the wild in regulation. Let's get after this first game. Let's also pull up the best odds page on the plan at sbrodds.com. Let's grab it right now and decide how we are going to attack this 2-game NHL card right before the All-Star break. First off, let's go to money lines and totals, and let's look at this Winnipeg-Columbus game. Columbus opening up at minus 155. They're now minus 185. This total actually opened up at 6. It's now at 5.5. Which I found interesting. Columbus can't score, but Winnipeg has difficulty keeping the puck out of the net, especially lately. Bressois going to be in goal tonight. You know, usually I like to put my foot on the throat of a team that's down. I like to press down on their throat and crush their Adam's apple when they're down. And I'm hesitant to do that with the Jets just because this is the last game before the break, and now we have Bressois, who is in net. Winnipeg was not quite as bad as the score indicated in that 4-1 loss last night. These are two teams moving in opposite directions. Jets are on the second half of back-to-back after losing 4-1 to the Hurricanes last night. Carolina outscored 16-4 during the 3-game losing streak, outscored 9-3 in the first period over the last 5 games. Jackets have won 5 straight, outscored the opposition 16-3 over that streak. Now, I would like to take this Jackets team. I would like to back this Jackets team as dogs. I'm a little hesitant to back them as big favorites. Merzlikins playing great, second star of the week last week, and also he turned aside 134, 136 shots last 4 games. They have Atkinson back. They have Oliver Bjorkstrand back. But I was hesitant to pull the trigger on the Jackets. In fact, I think that this veteran Jets group could step up in the last game before the break. What are you doing here, Jets-Jackets?
Well, when we got Blake Wheeler saying playing from behind is tough when you're playing against good teams. No shit. What? Some of these quotes, Jimmy, I don't understand. What we got to think about right now is what type of momentum does the Blue Jackets have right now that may stop once we get this, big long break for them. Right now is the best time to be backing these Blue Jackets. Before the All-Star break, I have no idea how Merzlikins and company are going to play after. I want to ride them right now, and I feel comfortable enough with this team to back them at this price. In fact, the way that I have this team ranked, this is actually right on where I think they should be on the money line wise, and I find significant value. I'm not going to say significant. I think that there's a couple plays on this that I really like. And, Winnipeg, they're 8-2 overall, straight up this year after scoring 1 goal or less. 2-3 on back-to-back days. But the fact is, with Bressois in net and what these Winnipeg Jets have got to be feeling, I think they just want this break. I don't think that this game matters so much. This is kind of like, we're probably borderline not making the playoffs, and in fact they have under a 50% chance to actually make these playoffs with their strength of schedule ahead and how they're playing right now. They should not be in the playoffs, in my opinion. What I got to say is that I don't see that there's any way the Jets absolutely turn it on right now against this red hot Jackets team. Why don't we want to take these Jackets in regulation at minus 113, Jimmy? The fact that the Blue Jackets right now, the only time I want to back them is right now. I don't want to deal with them after All-Star break until I see this consistency. What I think the best look, we just touched on how the Blue Jackets outscoring opposition 16-3, 3 goals allowed in the last 5 games, and one of those was with one of their AHL affiliate goalies. So they are absolutely working as a team to keep these other teams at bay. I have a team total at the Winnipeg Jets at 2.5, and I have that at minus 125, Jimmy. I'm going to take that Winnipeg 2.5. I don't see what the motivation here is besides we got a break. I think that break is what all they're looking forward to. I feel like this is a shelf game for the Jets, and I feel like the Blue Jackets are going to done it in regulation. So I'm taking both those today, Jimmy. Blue Jackets regulation, and I also got this Winnipeg Jets team total under 2.5.
Yeah, I think this is a veteran team that's going to go all out here tonight. Taking Columbus at minus 185 to minus 195, I think is a mistake. And if you look at this Jets roster, also they played better than it looked in Carolina. Bressois having the
They
opportunity.
had 17 shots to 38. What do you mean they played better than that? Was absolutely terrible. I mean, they had one good period. I think that was like probably one of their worst performances in the last few weeks. I do understand what you're saying, though, as far as this being absolutely juiced. There's only one way to take it, puck line or regulation, Jimmy, but I'm confident that I want to ride these guys, the hot hand right now, and this is the only time I want to ride them until I see them play 3 more games after All-Star break.
I think this is not the kind of team you want as a big favorite, and I think I can get an even better line on the Jets soon. I'm going to make a move on the Jets, I think. I just don't want to rush it. After talking it out, this is a perfect opportunity for Bressois to come in and step up, which he hasn't done all year long. I don't know. The Jets are going to come out fast and firing. Like, I see Ragu on Jackets' first period. Okay, let's move on to Detroit, Minnesota. I'm certainly not going to take the Jackets at this price. Not a chance.
Well, Jimmy, the Jets have pretty much punished these Blue Jackets in the last few years to angle your side a little bit. They have done well against this team, despite them not even being divisional rivals or anything like that. So that is working for you in your favor.
And Americ's saying Big Ragu been crushing NHL lately. He has. He's been smashing NHL in the last little while. T says, yes, Jimmy, do it. Richie Rich is on Winnipeg. I'm going to take a little bit of time here before I make that move. Let's move on to Detroit, Minnesota. We got to be quick here. I know we started late, and that is our fault here, not yours, Poppy, but we got to be quick here. Let's take a look at what the market's telling us in Detroit, Minnesota. Detroit opening up at plus 213. They're now at plus 228. Last night, they lose Franz, or not last night, 2 nights ago in Colorado when we were on Detroit first period. They lose Franz Nielsen and Mike Green. They already are without Athanasiou. They don't have Anthony Mantha. They're out with the Kaiser and Eriksson. They got Trevor Daley back. Wild are coming off 5-4 home loss. With the way the Wild outplayed Florida and were unlucky to lose that game 5-4, and their power play rolling, I find the Minnesota Wild far, far more appealing than the Columbus Blue Jackets here. Detroit is a team that doesn't care. Winnipeg needs to turn this around. Rod's Wax says if the Jets were pissed, they would have showed up last night. I don't know. Minnesota, I do think that this point spread is not the worst spot we could be in with Minnesota with the way they're scoring right now. -1.5 at about -110. What's better, 365 -110 or -105? What are you doing here for Wild Detroit?
Yeah, tough spot for the Wild the other day with Florida. I actually think I had the Wild that day. And, coming up 3 goals in 4 minutes, that's absolutely backbreaking. But we do have your favorite goaltender, Jimmy, Devin Dubnyk, who I love to just trash. But you know what? You're right. He is pretty decent. I guess you could say the word decent at home. That being said alone, Jimmy Howard, our favorite goaltender, the #1 goaltender, the best goals against average in the league. Wait, absolutely the worst, Jimmy. This guy's still in the starting roster. How do we not figure out a way to take the Wild here? Jimmy Howard on an epic overrun, 7-2 to the over on the road. Excuse me. I feel like the Wild are going to be absolutely throttling this team. I mean, Franz Nielsen, does that even matter? What a disappointment this guy has. 7 points on the season, like whatever, how many games they've already played. This guy is not the business. I mean, Mantha's a different story, but come on, man. This Nielsen's a big disappointment. We know the Red Wings are the lowest goals per game at 2.12, highest allowed per game at 3.88. The thing that I like, Jimmy, I think I want to angle an over, given the fact that the Wild and the Red Wings allow the highest high danger scoring chances in the NHL, #1 and #2 consecutively. Jimmy Howard is riding this large over streak. Do we think that maybe the Red Wings could get 1 or 2 up and have the Wild throttle 4 or 5 in? I absolutely do. I think this 6 is really appealing, Jimmy, at -110. I think that's the look I'm going to take today here.
It was initially appealing to me as well, but losing Mike Green is, now if you look at their defense core, who they have healthy, it's Daley, Hronek, Nemeth, Biega, Bowie. Like, I feel very uncomfortable expecting offense from them. I thought that afternoon game against the Avalanche, there was an expectation for offense because it was kind of a sloppy afternoon time. Avalanche are coming off beating the Stanley Cup champions. This is different. Minnesota is an angry group. And I can understand Jin Rummy liking that giant line for the Red Wings, but I'm just very hesitant. Also, it looks like it won't be Howard in net tonight, even though Blashill was saying nice things about him after that 6-3 loss. It looks like, I'm going to try to double check here quickly, but it looks like we are going to be seeing Pickard in net, starting Pickard right now.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah, so I don't. Pickard is terrible. Richie Rich liking that Minnesota over. I initially was going to make a move on the over, but I think I think that Gabby's going to have these guys running fast and jumping all over the Detroit Red Wings. So what is your move on this game? What's your official look?
I really do like the over. The thing that I originally wanted to angle was Detroit's team total under, because, I mean, they've scored over 2 goals maybe 13 times in the last 24 games, these Red Wings, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that's so juiced. I think that's at minus 160. And the Wild team total over 3.5 is, really juiced as well. So I just felt the best angle is to expect maybe 1 or 2 goals from these Red Wings here. But I really do like the over. I think that's going to be a move that I make here, Jimmy. Just the over 6.
The over 6. Well, I'm going to take some more time here. I can understand. I think the Wild are going to take care of business. And I think the Jets are going to come out flying against Columbus. Come out flying. Columbus feels good about themselves. They're winning games. The Jets are angry. I think that first period for the Jets is a look that is appealing. I do not want to go up against Ragu right now, who's just crushing NHL. But first period, Winnipeg Jets. I'm getting I just need a money line here.
You know what, Jimmy? I think that the Blue Jackets in the last 5 games have maybe allowed 2 first period goals. So if you have an expectation with the Winnipeg Jets actually not scoring over 4 goals in the first 5 periods in the last 5 games, I think if you can get a plus, Jimmy, at a even price, I think that might be a better look if we expect it to be competitive. But I'm not sure. I don't see that on my screen what the first period, if you took that on the plus line, would be for the Jets.
I hear what you're saying, and it makes a ton of sense. But the Jets have that kind of high-octane offense that can take care of business. I'm going to make a move here on the Winnipeg Jets first period. I'm going to get them at Pinnacle at plus 156. Winnipeg Jets first period plus 156. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time with this Wild Wings spot. It's difficult for me to trust the Wild here. They've been strange all year, allowing 3.08 goals per game. Do I really want to trust Duber in net right now when he's been dealing with his wife's illness? The only move I'm going to make, I think, at this point is Winnipeg Jets first period at plus 156. Parlay Poppy, we got to go. Sorry that we started late with our internet issues. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you review your action and let us know where we can find you on Twitter?
Yes, always find me at Poppy_Parlay, except you super creepy virtual NFL players. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. You guys are really weirding me out right now. Anyways, my plays are Winnipeg, team total under 2.5. We're going to go there at minus 120. Blue Jackets regulation, minus 113. We're also going to go to the Wild over. That's at minus 115, not minus 110. I'm sorry. I'll tweet that out shortly, and I will see you guys next week. Good luck to everybody out there. Jimmy, I hope you catch your first period, and then I absolutely destroy the rest of that Blue Jackets game. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
Be well. Our friend Parlay Poppy. Follow him on Twitter at Poppy_Parlay. Poppy_Parlay. YMW says Jets is horrible. Never. I cashed on the Red Wings first period of plus 245. Are they a good hockey team? All right, let's move on to our guy, Teddy Covers, coming to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy, sorry. Thank you for your patience. Sorry we started late. We had some internet issues down here in Costa Rica. How are you doing on this Wednesday morning, my friend?
I'm doing all right, dude. Don't sweat the internet issues. Life happens, We do the best we can every day. Jimmy, and that's, that's just the way that it is. So sometimes you got to wait a minute or two. That's all right. All good, man. How are you today?
I'm good. I stayed off of NBA yesterday. Nice. Moving us towards that under was a nice spot in NBA. And I stayed off college basketball. I'm really trying just to keep things where I'm best. I had a nice night in NHL, 2-0-1, and feeling good about things, but NHL's going away now, so we got to really focus on the hard court, and we have this giant card ahead of us. Teddy, do you mind if we start going down and through each and every one of these games? And then, but in saying that, I'd love to start with the games that you like. So what have you gotten to the window with in NBA?
Sure. So I'm actually involved in 4 games today, which is a fair bit for me, and they're all later on down the card. They're 4 in a row. We can start Spurs, Pelicans, Nuggets, Rockets, T-Wolves, Bulls, and Pacers, Suns. I'm involved in all 4 of those games. So we can go through them one by one, or I can shoot them out, whichever way you like. Jimmy.
I'd prefer to do one for one, one by one. So why don't you start hammering one, and we'll work together.
All right. A quote from Alvin Gentry today, talking about it's going to be a circus in here for New Orleans. It is. There's a lot of attention, a lot of pressure on a team that hasn't had a lot of attention, a lot of pressure on them. I'm not convinced we're going to see New Orleans' best game tonight. I'll just leave it at that. And, San Antonio's not going to play a willing victim to Zion Williamson as an NBA debut. I think the Spurs hang tough. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised they win the game. I took San Antonio plus 3.5 in my pocket. The next game, you don't need to ask me who I bet in the next game. All right, Nuggets, Rockets. What's it, 8.5 now? Maybe Houston gets right. I don't trust Houston to get right. Until the Rockets get right, we're not going to be laying points with the Rockets. And right now, this is a team in free fall. It's a team that is having confidence issues. I've never been a D'Antoni fan, and I'm still not a D'Antoni fan. And all of this, the Nuggets are missing 3 starters. They've been missing 3 starters, okay? They played well without 30 starters. And of all the teams in the NBA, maybe there's a handful of teams like Denver that can match their depth. There aren't a whole lot of teams that have more depth than the Nuggets. And you talk about a team that I'm willing to back in this price range, minus 3 starters, it's Denver. So Nuggets in my pocket against the Rockets tonight, plus 8.5. I took the Bulls plus 1 against the T-Wolves. Minnesota can't be laying. Why is Minnesota laying in this ballgame? Chicago, the quotes out of that Bucks game were real positive for the Bulls after that contest. Talking about, hey, we just didn't hit 3-pointers today. We played them even. And you asked me, who do I want with the game on the line and the ball in their hands? I want Wiggins or do I want Levine? And it's not even close. I want Zach LaVine. And the Bulls are coming off a game where they didn't hit anything from 3-point range. Minnesota can't be asked to win games right now. Chicago, to me, that's jumped off the page at me. I got the Bulls plus 1 in pocket. And last but not least, and I think this might be the weakest of the 4. I'm riding Indiana right now. So I played the Pacers minus 1 in Phoenix? I'm almost sure I got minus 1. Yeah. It was minus 1 in Phoenix. Sorry, multiple bets in the head. So I laid 1 with Indiana against the Suns in Phoenix. I like them. Again, they had the great game in Denver and then the no-show the next night in Utah. And now this is the bounce-back spot for Indiana. And they're better than Phoenix, flat out. So I thought a point was cheap and very reasonable with the Pacers tonight. Minus 1 in that game. So that's the 4 bets I've made in the NBA. I thought about Toronto. And I thought about the Jazz Warriors under, but I haven't yet pulled the trigger on either of those 2.
Very interesting looks, Teddy, on your card. Spurs plus 3.5. The first one, we get to see the debut of Zion this evening. Pelicans won 11-16. They're rolling. Drew comes back, 36 points after missing 7 games with an elbow contusion. And the Spurs coming off that 120-118 victory over at Phoenix on Monday night. Lost a 20-point lead in that game. They were rolling. I like your looks on the Spurs, but I would prefer to be on the Spurs early. Not saying that they're not great in a full game spot, but I think I kind of prefer the Spurs early, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Spurs first quarter, first half. So first quarter, I'm getting plus 1 at minus 110, plus 1 at minus 110. And then first half, I'm going to jump on the Spurs as well. Here we go quickly. Spurs first half, I'm getting them at plus 2 at minus 107. Spurs first half plus 2 at minus 107. 107. And then let's look at the next, or another one of Teddy's look. He's on the Pacers -1, coming off that 118-88 loss on Monday at Utah. Man, by far their worst loss of the season. That came after beating the Nuggets at altitude. That huge loss. It ended that 5-game winning streak. And God, so the Suns coming off that 120-118 loss Monday against San Antonio. Booker and Ayton rolling. Oubre back, but injuries, no Baines in the lineup. I can understand why you think these Pacers are going to bounce back here. That makes a ton of sense. A ton of sense. You're also on the Nuggets +8.5. I took a look at the Porter Jr. prop and didn't make a move. This is an interesting spot with the Rockets' second fastest pace over the last 5, and the the Nuggets, the 29th pace in the last 5. Let's look at spreads and totals here on Teddy's look on the Denver Nuggets, and let's get to it right now. Oh, sorry, that's first half. Let me move over to full game on this Denver Nuggets spot. Total goes from 228.5 to 229.5. What do you think of that total, Teddy? Who do you think will be dictating the pace in this spot?
Well, I don't bet a lot of Houston games under, and I don't bet a lot of Nuggets games over. So it's not, if I think Denver can compete, whether it's a defensive grind game that they would prefer, or whether it's an offensive flow game. So in my mind, the stronger play here is side rather than total. All that said, Denver, there's at least a modest correlation between Denver and under. I'm not going to ask the Nuggets to score 130 tonight to get the cover for me. So slightly into the under, but nothing more than the correlation between Denver and under that points me in that direction.
I hear that. Shout out to Chris Brady. We got Jermel right now. Jermel says last time the Rockets had a losing streak, they got right against a healthy Nuggets team. Interesting. Okay, and then we're on the Bulls +1. I'm making a move on Lauri Markkanen after that 2 for 11, 0 for 7 3-point. He was over, his total was 15.5. Let me make sure it's still at 15.5 because I haven't bet it yet. So let me just make sure I'm not giving a stale line very quickly. Let me go to player props. Markkanen. Here we go, over 15.5, but still at -125. I'm going to make a move on Markkanen over 15.5 points. This is an interesting look. Both teams 3-8 in January. Karl-Anthony Towns coming out off a 28-10 in that 107-100 home loss to the Nuggets on Monday night. It's just Levine rolling right now, but I can understand why you like the Bulls at +1. That makes a ton of sense to me. There's Picasso, the prophet in the house. That makes a ton of sense to me. Bulls +1. I'm going to take a little bit more time, but all your looks make sense. All your moves make sense. All right, let's talk about that Raptors spot. Sixers, Raptors. You came close to making a move on the Raptors. They opened up at -6. They're now at -7. This total opened up at 218.5. It's now at 216.5. Raptors coming off their 4th straight win. 122-117 road win at Atlanta on Monday. They didn't cover in that game. Powell rolling off the bench. Over 20 points in each of his last 5 games since returning from the shoulder injury. Sixers coming off 117-111 road win at Brooklyn. Simmons going off. No Embiid. Horford playing well. 19 points. After being listed as questionable with that sprained left hand. What got you off, or what made you decide not to pull the trigger on the Raptors?
3 factors. First, the line moved against me. I wanted to lay 5. There were 5, now there's 7s. So I missed the best of the number. Second factor is after that 6-game skid on the road, the Sixers have now won back-to-backs. And they showed a little something in that win over Brooklyn. And I know the Nets didn't have Kyrie. Obviously, Simmons gave us a little bit of a will to win in that game, as well as I've seen him play, to be perfectly honest. He took over the game down the stretch, and we haven't seen Simmons do that on a regular basis. So that concerned me here. And so we have Philly playing, back-to-back road wins. They've shown signs on the highway. The market's knee-jerking the other way. I want to be on Toronto. There's 2 teams I really want to be on right now. They're both in the Eastern Conference. I'm looking for excuses to play Toronto. I'm looking for excuses to play Indiana. The Raptors are healthy now. There's certainly a team that I think has elite capabilities. And, this year they haven't been priced in that range. So I think there's money to be made with Toronto. The price just a little bit too high for me in this one. And Philly's recent improved play on the highway and recent, hey, let's put our foot down and win a game, concerned me enough that I was going to get there with the Raptors tonight.
That makes sense. That's a good explanation. There's Stu Boo in the house. There's a lot of talk in the chat about Karl Anthony Towns and who he's without Wendell Carter Jr. There's not going to be a lot of defense on him. Does that concern you at all in that spot? I mean, who's going to be defending? Who is going to be defending Cat? I mean, you're starting Luke Cornett at center. The Gafford inactive, Carter Jr. inactive. What do you think about backing Luke Cornett here?
I mean, Luke Cornett is not an offensive player, but he can certainly play defense. I don't look at it as I have no problem. You want Towns over. You want some Towns props tonight? Go to town. Pun intended. I have no issue with that. Cornett doesn't bring anything on the offensive end, but he does provide two long arms that can rebound, that can block shots, and he's a big body that can stay in front of him. So from an offensive standpoint, I don't expect the Bulls to get anything in the low post tonight. Other than their drive and dish opportunities, they're not going to pound it into the big man and watch Cornett's offensive moves in the low post. But defensively, I don't think he's going to be completely outmatched in this game. And that gives me enough confidence to look at the Bulls.
Yeah, no, it makes, I get it. I absolutely get your breakdown on this card. Let's keep going with Kings, Raptors, Sacramento, Detroit up next. Detroit opening up as 1-point favorites. Pinnacle switched that over to Sacramento. This total going from 222 to 223.5. Both teams' pace last five has been slow. So slow that I'm surprised that this total has gone up. It doesn't look like Bazemore is going to be in the lineup. I don't know if you know if Bazemore and Tolliver will be in the lineup, Teddy, but the word was that it's uncertain if any of them will be in there. Kings have lost the first two games of this 5-game road trip. They get beaten up 123-101 in Utah, and then they suffered that overtime loss in Miami. That was a Miami team without Butler. Rose rolling with these Pistons, but they're a difficult team to trust. What do you think here, Teddy? Kings, Pistons.
So let's think about this just from a last two games perspective. All right. The Kings were plus 3.5 at Miami, who's an elite Eastern Conference team with an elite home court edge. I understand they didn't have Jimmy Butler, but they're plus 3.5 in that game. And they didn't trail in the fourth quarter. Of course, they didn't get the cover if you bet them late, thanks to a little late game shenanigans and then an OT defeat. But they're plus 3.5 at Miami. Now they're plus 1 at Detroit. It's a line that's a head scratcher and a half. Okay. I understand there was no Jimmy Butler there tonight, but there's a whole lot more than 2 points worth of difference or 2.5 points worth of difference in my powering numbers between the Heat and the Pistons, more like 10. So this line is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Of course, the Kings coming off that loss, in a game that they won and they're frustrated and they've found ways to lose games and all that. But I mean, the Pistons have injuries up the wazoo again tonight. We don't know if Drummond's going to play for Detroit tonight, which may have something to do with this move on the total. But Drummond's listed as questionable for tonight. Reggie Jackson's questionable tonight. Those look like they're going to have Markieff Morris, who can provide a little bit of instant offense for Detroit. But I know this. I don't want to lay anything with the Pistons. But the point spread here, it's Sacramento or pass for me. And the point spread when you're plus 3 in Miami, you're plus 1 in Detroit. It's one of those deals where the markets are pointing towards Sacramento may not be getting right here, that there may be a little hangover effect, and that concerns me about the Kings. But if I had to play it, it'd be Kings or pass. I want no part of the Pistons.
That makes sense. The Pistons let me down badly against Washington on MLK Day. I don't know if I'm going to go back to the well here, especially with the Kings needing to get a win on this road trip. All right, let's move on to Thunder Magic. You have been rolling with these Thunder for weeks now, and I noticed they are not on your card. Orlando opening up at -1.5. That's where they stand now. Teddy, this total is at 210 down to 209.5. 209.5. Magic pace last 528. Thunder pace last 522nd. Thunder coming off that giant comeback victory 112-107 at Houston on Monday. They outscored the Rockets 41-20 in the fourth quarter. they're rolling. Steven Adams knocked out a Monday's win over Houston 2 minutes in, and they get the win late. That's just shocking. Nerlens Noel still hurt. Terrence Ferguson out for personal reasons. Orlando had a nice big win at the end of that 6-game road trip, 106-83 over the Hornets on Monday. Terrence Ross rolling. No Isaac, no Farouk Aminu for the rest of the season. And now DJ Augustine's missed last 4 games and maybe sidelined until mid-February with a knee injury. What do you think about this spot, Teddy? Do you think the Thunder are fat and happy? Why aren't you on them today?
So there's 2 issues why I'm not on. There are 3 issues why I'm not on the Thunder. One is I just lost a bet against the Magic the other night, and I'm like, maybe Orlando. I'm a little bit frustrated with my read with Orlando, and I'm not confident with my read with Orlando right now. So that's part of the reason why I didn't take OKC this evening. The second issue, and probably the biggest issue, is not just Adams, it's Noel both. They might not have anyone in the low post tonight. I need to know they have at least one center that's capable of getting minutes against Vujovic and Aaron Gordon and the like for Orlando. And you also, that was a big win for the Thunder, rallying in the fourth quarter and stop after stop and hitting shot after shot. And I wonder about this spot, and I don't love the spot for Orlando. They're coming off, they took my money the other night or the other afternoon, and they did it pretty easily. And all the quotes before the game was, "This is a horrible spot. It's a terrible game, yada, yada." And then after the game, all the quotes were, "We played great. Everyone stepped up. I'm really happy." I'm sure they're not going to lay with Orlando on this on the first game back off a long road trip following a fat and happy performance. And really, they played really well on both ends of the floor and ran them out in the second half of that ball game. So I don't want to lay here with Orlando, but I'm not on OKC because I'm worried about their centers tonight, and I am worried about their ability to focus coming off a pretty big fourth quarter win.
Yeah, well put. Well put. I get it. I absolutely get it. Let's move on to Lakers-Knicks here. Lakers-Knicks. Lakers opening up at -10. They're now -11.5. This total opened up at 224. It's now down to 222. LeBron taking a lot of flack for watching Bronny instead of keeping with his his regular plan of how to be prepared for games. Instead, he goes and sees his son play, and then he looks bad in that beatdown the Celtics gave them. Knicks ended a 3-game losing streak with a 106-86 win in Cleveland on Monday. They held the Cavaliers 27.7% shooting in the second half. Marcus Morris suffered a sprained ankle. We don't know if he's going to be in the lineup. RJ Barrett expected to miss this game. And Lakers are angry. What do you think about this spot here, Teddy? Lakers-Knicks.
Well, it's unplayable for me. The Lakers off a loss and Knicks off a win. Okay, so there's only one way I'm looking in this game, and that's towards the road favorite. The markets were there from the get-go, and the markets have, there was 10 at the open. Now we're looking at, 12s in this game. My powering number is 11.5. It's not way off the mark, but the Lakers go into this game knowing they're going to win. Okay, and that concerns me laying point. If I was going to play Lakers, maybe I'd look at them first half, look at them early, expect them to come out of the gate with a little bit of mojo. But, it's very easy for the Lakers to dominate this game, control the flow, win by 8 or 10, and that concerns me here. I can only play the Lakers, but the price isn't right.
I'm close to taking LeBron James over rebound and assist prop at 18.5. At that point, then, if I'm going to take over 18.5, I should probably just take the triple-double at plus 340. If he's going to go over 18.5, why wouldn't he get the triple-double? That seems like better value for my money. Triple-double at plus 340. I'm going to keep thinking about that. This feels like a spot where he's going to get it. Is that right, that thinking, Teddy? Instead of taking over rebounds and assists at 18.5, just take the triple-double at plus 340?
No. Because the issue is he could get 14 assists and 5 rebounds, and you can go over, but he's not getting anywhere near a triple-double. So it's plus 340 for a reason. And if the Lakers do what they're supposed to do tonight, LeBron won't play in the fourth quarter, and he'll end up with 26 minutes of playing time.
Yeah, but if LeBron does what he does against bad teams, he doesn't need to score. He just packs the stats with rebounds and assists. he'll put up 13 or 14 assists in games where they don't need him to score. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, my lean total wise here is towards the under. Lakers coming off a dismal defensive showing, and the Knicks can't score. And without Barrett, they can't score even more. So my initial lean total wise, and the market's already moved there this morning, is towards the under. And when I'm leaning under, I'm not looking to bet a ton of over props.
Our guy Paul Costa will be at this Grizzlies Celtics game tonight at TD Garden
Cool.
Arena. Big game, Paul. Have fun at it. Let's see if we can help put money in his pocket in this spot. Memphis, Boston. Boston opening up at -7. That's where they stand right now. This total opening up at 233, now 231 and a half. 231 and a half. Boston's won 7 straight over the Grizz. Celtics come in after that rout of the Lakers on Monday, snapping a 3-game skid for Boston. They had also lost 6 of 8. Walker probable with knee soreness. Brown questionable with a right ankle sprain. And the Grizzlies angry after their 7-game winning streak coming to an end on Monday. 126-116 loss to the Pelicans. They still have won 10 of 14. Dillon Brooks rolling. John Morant was held to 3 points before getting 13 in the fourth quarter. What do you think about this spot, Teddy? Grizzlies Celtics.
So it's a fascinating game, and it was a really hard one for me. I spent a fair bit of time with this, and I ended up with nothing. So I didn't. Boston's coming off a perfect game. After losing 6 of 8, they played brilliantly on both ends of the floor. And, like Orlando, you don't want teams off the perfect game necessarily, especially when they're playing, when they're laying points against a lesser foe. And even though Memphis has played better, much better of late, when the Celtics are looking at who we excited about playing, the Grizzlies aren't at the top of the list. You know what I mean? It's not like, this is a get-up game like the Lakers is on national TV on MLK Day. So I worry about Boston's energy. I really do. I don't worry about Memphis' energy, coming off that loss. And boy, I mean, you can go back even before this winning streak, which was just ended and then they had a bad game against New Orleans. The quotes coming out of the locker room afterwards, hey, no freak out. We just had a bad game. We'll play better next time. But the I lost my track completely.
Boston.
Yeah. There was when Memphis going. When you look back at their last 20 games. Even when they lose, there's 1 or 2 blowout losses. They've been in every contest. So, the winning streak came, it was a lot of right teams at the right time, a lot of home games. I'm not convinced that the Grizz are good enough to go up to Boston and hang for 48 minutes. But they might, if I had to play it would be Memphis plus before it was Boston minus. I don't have to play it. Pass for me.
Jaylen Brown, Ski Profit letting us know that Jaylen Brown's been officially announced to be out of the lineup. Does that move you closer to pulling the trigger on the Grizzlies?
Yeah, I just saw that. It's very good. Good info. And that just came out just a couple of minutes ago. And the markets haven't moved off of that yet, for what it's worth. So does that make me more likely to like Memphis? A little bit, but not a lot. Let's see how the markets react. And again, when one guy, and it's not like Memphis is the kind of team that if Jaylen Brown doesn't play, they're going to be, oh, well, the Celtics don't have their star and exhale. I don't see that. But I could easily see Boston without their star bringing a pretty high intensity level tonight, and that does concern me for the Memphis side. So the lean is Memphis. I haven't pulled the trigger.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Also, Dillon Brooks' birthday today. Big shout out. Happy birthday to our guy, Chris Brady, celebrating his 39th birthday. Happy birthday, Chris. Have a great, great, great day, my friend. Love hearing that it's your birthday. All right, let's keep rolling. Next up, Clippers-Hawks. Clippers-Hawks. Clippers open up at -4.5. They're now 3.5 at Pinnacle. Lou Will going back to his hometown. We're capping this game, and the market is saying that there will be no Kawhi on the second half of a back-to-back. I don't know if we have any more information on that. Clippers on the second half of the back-to-back after beating Dallas 110-107 last night. Expected to be without Paul George again for a 7th straight game. And Teague has come over to Atlanta. He's got 17 points and assists in those 2 games. Young looked very good against the Raptors. Trae Young. What do you think here, Teddy? Clippers, Hawks.
So my info, Kawhi is not going to play rest. Patrick Beverley is doubtful. And there's a chance that Paul George could play tonight and get back in the lineup for LA. But we're not going to know that until the last, shoot around or whatever before the game. So if you remember when these teams played earlier, the Clips beat them, was it 150 to 101? It was a loss the Hawks were still talking about and still remember. Now we have the Clips off a big win in Dallas yesterday on the second of back-to-backs against a team they annihilated, and they're missing a handful of key players. And Atlanta, that little Teague move for the Hawks, that's a good move for that team. When Trae Young was out, they couldn't score, and that's no longer the case. It makes their entire bench better. The lean here is towards the Hawks plus, but again, at +4, that's not the point spread I was hoping for. I'll just put it that way. And I understand it's because the Clips are sitting guys tonight, but a +8, maybe +4, it's going to stay in the lean category. And of course, we lean with the Hawks when we're thinking about supporting them. However, given the $1.50 that they gave to the Clips the first time, I ain't pulling the trigger on that over today because the defensive intensity might be there. But, Atlanta, supporting Atlanta with the over, it's like the Pelicans. You play Pelicans over, what's that cash? 11 times the last 12. When the Hawks are winning and covering, they're going over the total more often than not.
Final game on the card, Teddy, is Jazz Warriors. We've touched on every other one. Jazz opening up at -8. That's where they are across the board. This total opened up at 217. It's now 218.5. Jazz pace last 5, 21st in the NBA. Warriors pace last 5, 12th in the NBA. Alec Burks rolling, 33 points, 8 assists, 7 boards against Portland in that overtime loss. Draymond Green had the flu, and Glenn Robinson sprained the ankle, missed that game. Green is likely to be back in the lineup. Jazz won 17 of 19, 9 of their last 11 road games. They're playing well. They bounced back from that Pelicans loss, beat up on Sacramento 123-101, destroy Indiana 118-88. But Gobert rolled his left ankle in the fourth quarter. Not expected to be serious, but it did happen. It did happen. What do you think of this spot, Jazz Warriors, with the Jazz 8-point favorites on the road, Teddy?
So, my powering number is 10.5. So it says that there might be a little bit of value on Utah. In fact, I thought this number might come a little bit higher. I thought it came a little bit low. From a pure value standpoint, there's probably a little bit of value here on Utah. But the Warriors have actually given the Jazz a battle in each of the first 2 meetings already this year. They are expected to have Draymond Green back in the lineup. We've talked about what Green means in terms of the intensity for Golden State on any given night. I'm not doing a lot with the Warriors right now, Jimmy. I'm really not. They're priced right. They're the worst team in the NBA. They're there with Charlotte. They're there with the Knicks at the very bottom of the league. And in general, teams like that, I want them. I like betting against them at home, where the home court edge, isn't all that meaningful. And again, the price here is fairly cheap, given my powering numbers. But the under here might even be worth more of a look than the side. Utah can play with pace. They always play with defense. Golden State against teams that play defense haven't exactly been lighting it up. And Utah with a lead, they're going to slow down the pace to a crawl late. So lean under in this game more than I lean side.
Lean to the under. Teddy Covers is on the Bulls +1, the Nuggets +8.5, the Pacers -1, and the Spurs +3.5. That's what Teddy is doing with this giant NBA card. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your hard work and insights. Are you making any moves on this NCAA basketball card?
Yeah, I laid 6.5 with Virginia Tech. We're going to keep betting against North Carolina at every reasonable opportunity. So that one stood out to me. I haven't made a move yet on the Tulsa. I'm debating between Tulsa and under in that game against Memphis. That's one that stands out to me a little bit. Tulsa +3, 3.5. But the under there might be the better look. I'll be involved in one or both, or maybe a little Tulsa under parlay there. That's all I've done in college hoops today. I considered Penn State, didn't get there. Virginia Tech's in pocket, and I'm looking at Tulsa /under still.
Virginia Tech -6.5. Follow this man on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to rock with you tomorrow morning.
I'm looking forward to it, Jimmy, but we got a lot of hoops to get through before tomorrow morning, brother. Good luck tonight, Lowbaggers. Hope you guys kick some ass and make some money. Cheers.
There he is, Teddy Covers, joining us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. We go right from Teddy Covers to Maxwell Smart. Rafa, will you please roll Max's intro?
It wasn't until 2018 that the diamond in the rough went from hooligan to king of the world.
The guy couldn't play for shit, dog. He was awful. But can he cap? Guess he can.
Maxwell Smart, my man, your winning streak came to an end last night. It was going to come to an end at some point. Bounce back day for you today. How are you doing on this Wednesday morning?
Jim, I'm pretty upset with myself. I like to definitely be a self-centered son of a bitch and blame it all on bad beats, a point here, a point there, Western Michigan, Duke under first half, just for a couple examples. But the plain and simple truth was it was a bad cap by me. That's why the bet lost. So today's a new day. I've already put out a bunch of plays that I feel quite strongly about. And I'm looking to just keep on trucking because that's what I do. I have a bad day and then I pick it back up. But I will say this, it's been a long time since I had to bring out the cock soup syringe, but it's here and I don't want to get it again.
I hear you. And we are hoping we have banged out Max's numbers. And Max, I tell you one thing about banging your numbers out was that you lose by a half point much more than you win by a half point. When you win, it's often huge wins. Like you'll have a dog at +8, they'll win outright. But you've had some hard luck with the half points. We are waiting to we are hoping that his Twitter account comes back because we're missing his plays, his editions, his Twitter editions right now. So we're waiting on that before we're going to start putting out the record each and every day. Coming off a rough day though, 6-10, down 4.78 units, and you are going to get it back here. Most definitely. Let's start with a spot that you're on, another big dog here. Why don't you tell us why you are on LaSalle +10 at -110. We'll start there, and then we'll start breaking down your other looks.
Yeah, this is definitely a LaSalle team that is going to have their hands full against Richmond. Richmond losing Blake Francis is not that big of a loss for them because this is a team that played very good offense without him last year. You got Grant Golden, Jacob Gillier, Nathan Cahill, the Canadian. You got Nick Sherrard back from injury. And Grant Golden has gone out of his shooting slump. So it's going to be up to guys like sophomore Ed Croswell, who's a beast on the boards, to get it done for LaSalle. I think that with this LaSalle team, it's the 3D effect. You know, this is a team that plays great three-point defense. I think that's going to be critical against Richmond because that's what they want to do. Look at the Davidson game and how they got beat like that. This is the type of LaSalle team that is on a losing streak. They've played really close games, but I think that with their depth, with their bench, it's going to come into critical usage tonight. I think that when you think of LaSalle, they average 38% of their minutes coming from their bench, which is a very high rate when you think about nationally. I think that Isaiah Dees is going to be the difference in this game, and I think that if Scott Spencer, the redshirt junior, can get off his jump shot and hit some threes like he has been the last couple of games, I think that we stay in this game and that it's a little closer than the odds makers originally put out.
LaSalle at +10 is Max's first look. That's now 8.5 or 9, depending on where you shop. Let's move on to another one of your looks. You are on Duquesne +4. By the way, people asking about Max's record, and we're going to start putting it up on the show. We got to make a decision what we're going to do. We're hoping that we get those Twitter looks because Max's was on a heater, and 27 bets we are missing, important ones. Right now on show Pixie's put out on the show, he's 450 wins, 418 losses. He is up 0.78 8 units. 0.78 units, but that will go up quickly if we can grab those 27 plays, so we're not going to pop it up on the screen. Though Max is 32 games over 500. 32 games over 500. Max, let's roll on your next look. You are on Duquesne. Duquesne at Rhode Island. Open up a +4 now. 4 at Bovada, 3.5 everywhere else, 3 at Pinnacle. Why are you backing Duquesne here?
This is a Duquesne team that everyone knows that watches the show that I'm quite high on. I feel quite strongly about. I think that this is one of their toughest games of the season to date. I think you go up against a Rhode Island team with fantastic guard play from Jeff Doughton and Fats Russell. I think that you do have Jacob Toppin coming off the bench, Makai Long. These are some good, young, long, athletic players that can give some of Duquesne's guards problems. But this Duquesne team is just impressive from number 1 in the rotation to number 9 in the rotation. Seeing Maceo Austin and Larry Norman Jr. really take on expanded roles, Davian Dunn-Martin being your 6th man off the bench and being your energizer bunny, and of course Michael Hughes and Marcus Weathers doing their job up front. Marcus Weathers has been a revelation. He's doing work on the offensive glass. He's getting easy buckets, and his offensive numbers are reflecting that. I think that when you have Michael Hughes, he's going to play a critical role tonight because he has to stay on the floor. Him and Bailey still have to protect the rim, and you have to stop Rhode Island from penetrating, and you have to stop Cyril Langevin. Langevin's is definitely a handful, but I do think that this Duquesne team is still underrated, still being disrespected because people look at their strength of schedule and judge them based on that. Well, they had a scare in that Fordham game as a double-digit favorite. I think that they are ready to go, come to play, and stay in this game and make it come down to free throws at the end. So Duquesne +4, that was an auto play for me.
Max, you jumped on the over in St. Bonaventure, Dayton. You got in at 136. Another reason why you have to follow Max on Twitter to get on these market moves early. He crushes these market moves. It's moved up to 138.5, 139, or even 139.5 at BetOnline. Why are you on the Dayton over, and do you still think that the low baggers should pull the trigger on it at this number? Dayton, St. Bonaventure.
It's hard for me to suggest you guys taking a number that's 2.5 points worse than what I got. I will point out that I do expect to see a high scoring game. I think that there's going to be some pace. I think that when you look at this Dayton team, obviously they had that scare against St. Louis, but I think that the quality of defense against St. Bonaventure is going to be more conducive to a game going over without the need of overtime or anything like that. I think that when you look at St. Bonaventure, that's the most important part when it comes to scoring. This is a team that started 1-4. They've won 10 of the last 12. They've really been efficient in A10 games, but you have to take in consideration who they've played. I don't expect them to win this game. I expect them to lose this game by 20, and I expect Ryan Mixell and Rodney Chapman to snap out of their shooting slump. These are two guys that are relied upon from the perimeter to make threes, and so far in A10 play, they're hitting under 30%. I think that Dayton's definitely going to have more opportunities for Obi Toppin to get inside with less stout play with no Osun Osuni, who's going to be out with a concussion. And I think that when you look at St. Bonaventure, they are completely reliant on perimeter shooting, whether it be Dominic Welsh, whether it be the freshman Winston or Alessandro Vasquez. There's a lot of guys that can score the basketball, whether penetrating to the rim, getting to the free throw line, or hitting a three. I expect this game to go over for those reasons, and you have to make your own decision. I can't tell you to take a number that you could lose on and then I could win on.
Makes sense, Max. Let's move on to another look that you are backing here. You are on George Washington this evening. George Washington at Fordham. George Washington opening up at -2, now at -3. You got them at -2. Why are you backing George Washington here?
Yeah, this is a surprising spot. I actually think that it opened at Pick'em on BetOnline, but Armel Potter and Maceo Jack, that's what I'm pretty much putting my money on. I've really been impressed with Armel Potter and how he's really developed so far this season. I think that with Maceo Jack, this is a guy that's definitely just snapped out of a shooting slump, and he's a guy that can give you 20 points a game. What I really like about George Washington is Arnaldo Toro and the work that he can do in the front court defensively. When you look at the last game that they played against UMass, what happened? Trey Mitchell, the most dominant big man in the A-10, got limited to 13 points. I think that when you look at this Fordham team, you have to really know who you're betting on, because now this is a Fordham team without Antoine Portley, without Chuba Hams, and those are two critical pieces, whether it be on the defensive or on the offensive end of the floor. I think that it puts a lot more pressure on Jalen Cobb, and I think that when I look at this George Washington team, this is a team that's going to win by margin. And I didn't even bring up Jameer Nelson Jr., who has just been a consistent double-digit scorer, gets to the free throw line, makes the most of his opportunities. I think George Washington wins this game by double digits, and I will most likely be hitting this on the additional spread for a juicy plus price.
Jermel Wright, loving your look on George Washington. He's also liking George Mason. Max, we have a ton of questions coming in, and we're going to break down more of your game. So we have a ton of questions coming in on this Rutgers, Iowa spot. Viper asking about it. Benjamin Obakoya asking about it. Let's talk about it. It is a marquee spot, and then we'll go back to your action. Iowa opening up at -5.5. That's where they stand right now, Max. And this total at 138 or 138.5. Again, that's a pinnacle opener. Max, 24 ranked Rutgers, not strong on the road at 19th ranked Iowa. What do you think here? Are you going to make a move?
Yeah, I haven't made a move on the game yet, side or total. I think that when you look at Rutgers, definitely they haven't had a lot of games on the road. Only playing 4 games on the road in true road games. I think that when you look at this Rutgers team, they do a bunch of things well. They really guard really well. This is a team that you're going to struggle to get 60 points on most given nights. This is a team that's going to shut you down from the perimeter. This is a team that's going to guard the three-point line well. I think that with Rutgers, definitely their Achilles heel is free throws. And against a team like Iowa, it's really hard to go against the Hawkeyes at home. It's a serious home environment. We need to see Rutgers definitely play better on the road and against better competition, because if you want to say you should get on Rutgers because they beat Nebraska on the road, that's not going to do it for me. At this point, I look at Iowa first half, and then I reassess at halftime, but it's not going to be an official play at this time for me.
Max, you've doubled up on this next spot. You're on Mercer. You got in at 1.5. Pinnacle opened this up at a pick'em. It's now Mercer 2.5 point favorites. It's 2 everywhere else. You are on Mercer. You're also on this total. We've seen no movement on this total. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. We have seen a little bit. Open at 154. It's at 154 at most books. But we see a 153 at BetOnline and 153.5 at Heritage, and you wager. You are on that under. Western Carolina Mercer under 154 and Mercer -1.5. Why are you on these moves?
Yeah, this is a spot where it's simply a revenge spot. These guys played 11 days ago. Western Carolina won 79-71. This is a spot where I think that Mercer, now seeing the change in offensive philosophy for Western Carolina with Mark Proser in his second year as head coach, they can really play inside and out. Mason Faulkner, the Northern Kentucky transfer, he's done a fantastic job. Carlos Dotson, he's a handful and a big wide body, so you have to really be able to help defenders on him. And I think that with Mercer, there has been struggles when it comes to depth so far this year. They really rely on Ethan Stair and Dmitry Hivik to score the basketball, and I think that these are the guys that are going to get it done for me. I don't think that it suits Mercer to play a game that is in the mid-70 range. I think that they're better suited playing the games in the mid-60 ranges. I expect them to be able to do that tonight. Dmitry Hivik is on a very nice offensive hot streak, and it's just really about keeping him on the floor. He's not going to have any size matchup disadvantages like he has against some other conference opponents in this particular matchup. And most notably, my numbers like Mercer as a 5-point favorite here, and they think that this game doesn't go under 148. So Two plays that when I saw on the opening lines, I was definitely interested in. And also on top of that, speaking with the Master Jedi of Unders, Noli knows, it was a spot that he narrowed in on as well.
Max, a question coming in from our guy Jimmy Stain, and I know you do this a lot, and we got to be quick here because we got a lot more moves to talk about. I'm also tailing George Washington -3, -103. Max, Jimmy Stain saying, can you ask Max if he hedges bets live? If so, when and why?
Yeah, if I see a bet losing, I hedge. You guys see that from my posts on Twitter. Sometimes I get a little out of hand, and I try and get like a slick middle. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But the beautiful thing about having a bet that you can hedge out of live is something I just have to take advantage of more. Sometimes my reads are going to be incorrect. That's what happens in gambling. But I absolutely use that to help myself lose juice at most. And it's been beneficial to me this season.
Next up, Max, you are making a move here on Western Kentucky at Marshall. Marshall opens up as 1.5 point favorites. Pinnacle's moved that to 1. So is Heritage. This total shot up from 151 to 154.5. Why are you on Western Kentucky here?
Yeah, this is an interesting spot. I think that Western Kentucky will still have the perception of a slow down Charles Bassey run through offense. And I think that even though Carson Williams is still playing that same type of role and providing the same kind of, Carson Williams, and still providing the same type of efficiency, I think that this Marshall team definitely is underrated. I didn't agree with the line. I thought Western Kentucky should be a 2.5 point favorite on opener. And I will say this, with Justice and Josh Anderson and Tavion Hollingsworth, Jared Savage and company, these are guys that are definitely playing a different style of basketball than they were in the beginning of the season. Western Kentucky makes a lot more free throws than their opponents even attempt, and that's going to be critical in this game against Marshall. Marshall has shown a propensity to go through scoring droughts even at home. I think that with Jared West and Tavion Kinsey, you have good starting points, but I do think that Carson Williams is going to be the difference in this game. I think that you also have to take into consideration that these guys will play again in 4 days, and the way that Marshall is, in my estimation, from listening to interviews from coaching and players, I think that they're going to be set up for something that is incorrect and that they're not going to get the game plan that they're expecting from Western Kentucky. I look for Western Kentucky to win this game.
Interesting stuff going on here. Great stuff coming out of the chat as well. Max, you've been double dipping on Citadel games and cashing. And you're going back to the well. You jumped in on this over at 150.5, and you jumped in on Citadel plus 10.5. You've done great work with this combination. There has been another point move towards Chattanooga. It's now 11.5, and this total is up to 153 at Bookmaker. Citadel and the over. Take it away.
Yeah, Jim, you know how I like to ride a play until it loses, and this is the same situation with Citadel. It's an auto bet at the right number, and I think that with the disappointment of losing to the Cadets in the way that they did, I think that this is a situation that they're going to bring their best offensive arsenal, and that starts with Caden Rice and his three-point shot. We've seen what he does. He averages almost 3.12 three-point makes a game, which is in the top 25 in the nation. And then Kaylon Harris, who is doing a great job of getting inside, doing a good job of boxing out and getting those second-chance opportunity shots. Fletcher B, he's definitely got to come through with a three-point shooting, but the reality is Citadel always provides a pace and tempo that is going to be unfamiliar and uncomfortable for a lot of their opponents. So I believe that Chattanooga is going to play to Citadel's pace. When you have Tyson Batiste as your point guard with 6.2 assists, you know that he's going to push the tempo, he's going to run the floor, and he's going to get his guys in good positions to score buckets. And then when I look at this Chattanooga team, they're nothing to be messed with. This is a Chattanooga team that I think that is up and coming. I think that against the right opponent, especially at home, they're even more dangerous. And it's pretty hard to deny David Jean-Baptiste and his efficiency. Throw in the size of Roman Villa and Rod Johnson's rebounding ability. I think it's going to be a battle for Citadel. But I do think with the pace that Citadel's going to play, I think that when Chattanooga tries to apply full court pressure on inbounds after made baskets, I do think that Citadel's going to be able to break it and get to the rim easily. So I look for Citadel to backdoor cover this game. I look for Citadel to take this game over because it's the team that allows you to have good offensive games regardless of what you do against other opponents.
We have questions coming in, Max. We also started the show 6 minutes late, so we are going to use those 6 minutes here in this segment. So we don't need to panic. We have more than 13 minutes left. Max, questions coming in. And I'm going to hit you with these very soon. Dave and Cal, I love that you're excited about it too. That makes me so happy. Pedro Barbosa, by the way, I did pull the trigger on the Karl Anthony Towns prop. I almost felt like I should wait longer because it's juiced to the under. But I did take the over 25.5 points at minus 110. Max, let's take a quick break to ask a question from a question coming in from Dana Delp. Michigan, Penn State. Let's pull this game up and discuss it here. Let me find it very quickly. And why can't I get it? Why is it not coming up? Tomorrow, Max. So why don't we wait on that? We got a lot of work to do. We'll close on that. Unless you have any quick idea. Oh, no. What am I doing? Sorry. I'm losing my shit here. Okay. Penn State, Michigan popping off at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Michigan 5.5-point favorites at the start. Now 5-point favorites. This total at 147.5. You have a feel here, Max? Penn State, Michigan?
Yeah, with Michigan not having Isaiah Livers, it does leave me a little trepidation. I think that when you want to bet on Michigan, you want to bet on them at home. They haven't rewarded you so far in conference at 1-4-1, but in this point range, they do have some value by my metrics. And I'd be looking at Michigan first half, but I think that I'd be looking at Penn State full game with Lamar Stevens and company coming off that Minnesota loss that got heated in the handshake line. I think that they come out and really try and give Michigan all they can handle.
All right, beautiful stuff, Max. Another question coming in from our guy Ray Kimbrell, wanting to know what you feel about this South Carolina Auburn spot. Auburn opening up at minus 10.5, now minus 11. This total has gone up from 144 to up to 147 or 146.5. Max, South Carolina against 16th ranked Auburn.
Yeah, the issue with South Carolina is, can they score with Auburn? Can they score on this Auburn defense that's been fantastic from the three-point line? They keep you off the free throw line for the most part, and they do a good job of getting to 80 points on a consistent basis. This is a spot where without Keyshawn Bryant, it's a pretty big loss in my estimations. I'm not going to say that it's worth points on the spread, but it just puts a lot more pressure on Justin Meninia and AJ Lawson, our fellow Canadian, to do some work. I will say that Isaiah Quinnard has been quite fantastic. Obviously, I'm butchering his name, but I think that you guys know who I'm talking about. I think that South Carolina definitely has an opportunity to stay in this game first half, but with Auburn coming off that ugly Florida loss situationally, you just think that this is a spot where you'd want to be getting on Auburn full game. And also at the number, point spread range, it's not really one of Auburn's strong points, but South Carolina is rarely in this double-digit dogs phase. So maybe South Carolina first half, but nothing concrete right now.
All right, let's go back to some of the concrete spots that you're on. You took the over in this Virginia Military Wofford game. This market's gone slightly against you. You got in at 140. It's now down to 138.5, 139 at Pinnacle. Why are you on the over in VMI Wofford?
Yeah, you just gotta really take into consideration what the quality of opponent is, and then really try and do your eye test work on how that team changes their pace and tempo based on the opponent. When I look at the VMI and Wofford series, this is a series where I think that both teams are going to be able to get their 3-point shot off. I think that Greg Parham and Miles Lewis are definitely going to be able to continue their offensive ability versus this Wofford defense. And let's be frank, without Fletcher McGee, you take away a key piece of offense from Wofford. But I think that with Nathan Hoover heating up, like I spoke about a couple shows ago, I think that's going to be the difference. He's averaging 20 plus points a game in the last 4. Storm Murphy had that amazing clip where he dribbled it through an opponent's legs, splitting a double team, taking it to the bucket, and dishing it off to Chavez Goodwin. It was absolutely beautiful. But from my perspective and from my numbers, this is a spot where I think that we get to 150, and at 140, it was a spot that I made sure that I got on right away. I'm not concerned with the line movement. That is a perception issue with what we've seen recently from Wofford. I think with the style of the opponent, we are going to get points in this game.
Max, you are doubling up on this next spot, South Dakota State and the over. Let me just make sure that it's the over. Sorry, yes, you're on South Dakota State and the over 143. That total is down to 141.5, and it is now a pick'em. It is now a pick'em at some books. South Dakota State 1-point favorite at others. Why are you backing South Dakota State in the over here?
Yeah, this is an interesting line movement. I think that it's the wrong line movement, and I'll trust my capping more than the line. Simple as this. David Wingate has entered the starting lineup. He is hitting 3-point shots. This whole South Dakota State team is hitting 3-point shots. This is a team that has played much better basketball at home. This is a team that is doing a better job of shot selection also, and that's indicative by their raise in scoring production from 74 to 82 points a game. The South Dakota State team shoots 52% from the field. I think that they are in a position with a dominant big man in Doug Wilson down low to give North Dakota State problems. I didn't even bring up the fact that Matt Detlinger is doing a fantastic job. He's a big man, back to the basket type scorer. He'll give you good defensive boxing out, and he will get on the glass for you. He'll hit his shots, make his free throws, and he can distribute the ball. I think that we are taking a little too much in consideration how well Vinny Shaheed and Tyson Ward have played over the last week or so, and I think that North Dakota State going into South Dakota State's building is just not an ideal spot for me, and I'm comfortable with my 2.5. I'm comfortable with my total, and my numbers think that this game goes over by a comfortable margin. So if I see South Dakota State go to a +1, a +2, I will double up for the show purposes, and we'll go from there.
Max, this is one of the strange times where the market has gone wildly against you. You're so often on. You're beating these market moves by 5 and 6 points. This time, this Indiana State Loyola Chicago total has shot all the way up to 133.5 at Pinnacle, 133 everywhere else, which is a shocking move. You are on the under 128.5. Why do you think this total has gone up? And are you going to double dip?
I think that it's definitely an interesting spot from a line movement perspective, because this is a Loyola team that definitely is scoring the basketball a lot better. They're averaging 76 points in this 3-game winning streak that they have versus Indiana State. But I don't think that it's going to be that type of offense today. I think that we're going to get the type of defense that we've been seeing from this Loyola team over the last couple weeks. I think that the Sycamores definitely have the advantage from a side perspective to me by the number at 7.5 with Tyreek Key and Jordan Barnes. But I definitely think with the defensive rim protection that you're going to get from Agar Ugak and Cameron Krutwig, I think that's going to be the difference in the game. I think that when you look at Tate Hall, this is a guy that's going to give you double-digit points, but he's also a very good on-ball defender. So when I look at Loyola, I think that it's going to be more indicative of Indiana State's going to struggle to get to 60. I think that this is going to be a very ugly game. And at this point, even though the market has moved against me by 5 points, I'm going to wait and see how high it goes up before I decide to hit it again on the under.
Max, another look you're on is Cal State Northridge, UC Santa Barbara over the total. It opened at 143.5. It is now at 144. You got in at 143.5. Why are you on the over here?
Yeah, this is a spot where you look at both sides. You have good guard play. You have good inside scoring from Amadou South for UC Santa Barbara, Ja'Cory McLaughlin, Max Heidegger on the perimeter. And then, of course, in any game that Cal State Northridge has Lamine Diane, I want to be hitting the over as long as it's under 150. And when I look at Terrell Gomez, is the guy that's going to play 40 minutes. He's going to take it to the bucket. He's going to hit 3-point shots. They are on the road, which does give me a little bit of more trepidation. But in the end, the numbers like it. The results favor it. And when we're talking about going over with Cal State Northridge, this is a team that's not going to play very lockdown perimeter defense. They are not going to be able to stop you from scoring inside, and they're going to try and force you to go faster than you're used to. And I think that when you average 74.5 points, I think UC Santa Barbara is going to be able to oblige. I think they're going to win on the glass, get some extra second chance points, and I think this game's going to go over.
All right, Max, we got to speed up a little bit. We have three California spots, 2 in one game. Why don't we go over those quickly? You're on the Cal Baptist under. You got in at 153.5. Nice job, because that Cal Baptist Chicago State under is now down to 151. Why are you on the Chicago State Cal Baptist under?
Yeah, this is just a Cal Baptist team that I think is going to be able to get to 90, but I think that they're going to play good enough defense where Chicago State's going to struggle to get to 60. I think that by the numbers, I have this game lined at 146 to 148, at 153. There is value. I wish I got the 155 on the Bet Online opener, but that's spilled milk. When I look at this Cal Baptist team, when you think about Milan Aqua, who's their leading scorer, when you think of Ferran Flavors, these are the guys that are going to be able to also defend and play two-way basketball. With this Cal Baptist team, they're going to give fits all day and all night to Andrew Lewis and what's his name? I can't remember his name. Xavier. I think it's Xavier Johnson. But Chicago State on the road, they have a lot more trouble scoring the basketball than they do at home. And I'm going to go based on last year's matchup where it was a 94-44 win for Cal Baptist. I think that they cover the 25 points. I think that this game stays under by at least 3 or 4 buckets. And yeah, plain and simple, I think that this is just an under game written all over it.
Max, let's try to keep these under 30 seconds because we don't have too much time. UC Davis, you're on UC Davis -3. You're also on the first half under, sitting at 62. First half under for UC Davis. They're at home against Cal State Fullerton. That's gone up to 4.5 for UC Davis. Why are you backing them, and why are you on the first half under?
Yeah, with UC Davis, is pretty much I think that they're going to be able to reverse their fortunes at home. This is a team that's done better on the road in conference. They've only played the one home game. I think that building off that really nice, impressive defensive performance against Cal State Northridge in that 66-2 win, they're going to be able to carry that over, keep Fullerton, who doesn't shoot the ball regardless of who's on the floor for them, well. I think it's going to be an ugly scoring first half. I think UC Davis is going to be able to get back on board and take care of business at home as
Matt,
short and sweet as I can.
You
make it.
doubled up on the Binghamton Stony Brook under first half and full game. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, Binghamton and Stony Brook. I think that when you watch that Binghamton game against Maine, you really saw how limited they can be offensively on the road. This is a high volume, low percentage shooting team. I think that Stony Brook is going to be able to clamp down. I think Stony Brook, coming off some subpar performances and getting back on track with the Albany win, I think that they're going to be ready to go, and their best games are when they can hold you under 135. So at this number, I think that Binghamton's going to struggle to get to 60, and I think it's going to be an ugly scoring first half to help us get that under full game.
Max, you were on Navy at Boston University. You got Navy plus 6.5. It's down to 5.5. Why are you backing Navy here?
Yeah, this is a spot where I think Navy wins the game outright, plain and simple. Navy is rolling right now. They're getting good offensive production from all through the lineup. When you have Cam Davis, I think that's going to be the difference maker tonight for them. I think that when you look at Navy, Boston University struggles from making free throws. Navy's not going to have those same issues. I think that it comes down to free throws. I think that Navy, the way that they're scoring the basketball, is going to be the difference tonight. So you want to give me a team that shoots 70% from the free throws, or you want to give me a team that their top 4 players average about 63% from the free throw line. I don't trust them to cover 7 points if this game is close at the end.
Wow, in that spot, Bet365 still hanging the 6.5. I'm going to tail that. I'm going to jump on Navy plus 6.5 at -110 right now. Max, we got to move very, very quickly here. Your next spot on the card is McNeese State -2. Why are you backing McNeese State tonight?
Yeah, this is a spot in McNeese State that I just do not trust the home team in Southeast Louisiana. When I look at this McNeese State, Shamarcus Tannedy, AJ Lawson, they're going to be the difference in this game. This is a team that has tournament aspirations where Southeast Louisiana relies on ball movement and speeding the pace of the game. I think that they're going to struggle to score. McNeese State is going to turn them over, and they're going to win this game by more than the 2 points.
You are on Hartford -3 in tonight's action. Up at home against UNBC. That's moved to 3.5 across the board for Bovada. Why are you on Hartford?
Yeah, with Hartford, it's pretty much a play against UMBC's ability to score from the free throw line and hit consistently 3 points. When I look at this Hartford team, it's pretty much you've got Malik Ellison rolling right now. You got size with Staffel. You got Tracy Carter, an experienced point guard. They play good defense. They get to the free throw line. They make their free throws. That's the difference for me in this game, and I think that they win this game by 7 or more points.
I am tailing Navy. I'm tailing 2 of Max's looks right now. Max, you are also, your final look on this card before we get to the play of the day is on American University. It's off the board here at Sportsbook Review. Let me see what it is here at Bet365. You got in on American first half +1. Why are you on American?
Yeah, this is an American team that when you look at Saeed Nelson, Jameer Harris, Jacob Boonsith, these are guys that can score the basketball. And the fact is, we don't know what the health of Cam Spencer, we don't know how healthy Andrew Kostecka is. And this Loyola Maryland team just has not given me the offensive performances that I've expected out of them. This is a team that's on a losing streak right now. This is an American team that's on a winning streak. They had 2 nice home performances against Bucknell and Holy Cross. I expect them to replicate their performance against Army, and I expect them to keep Loyola Maryland from scoring 70. I expect them to win this game. I think that they start off strong, build up a lead, and then maybe there's a play to make on Loyola on the second half.
And Bet365 is hanging it. I don't know why it's off the board at Sportsbook Review, but you can get American first half +0.5 right now. Max, those are your plays. If you have any additions, do you have any additions you want me to write down right now without breaking them down? Because we got to get into your play of the day.
No, I don't have any additions I want to make right now, but I will be making additions because I expect to have a fucking big day today.
I like that. I like the intensity, Max. Max, play of the day. Take it away.
Yeah, so we've already talked about this game. Actually, no, we didn't talk about this game. This is going to be a special spot for me because you guys know how I like Lafayette, but I'm actually going to be going with the other way in this game. So Lafayette going up against Army. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Army team total full game over 67.5 -113 as my play of the day. I think that Lafayette and Army go over the total. I think that Army definitely stays in this game, and I think that with one of the Funk brothers, Tommy Funk, running the show for them, and Lonnie Grayson, I think that these guys are going to be able to score the basketball enough and get us 68 points. So let's go Army team total over 67.5 -113.
Over 67.5 at -113. Army team total over 67.5 at -113. Chris Brady, you have yourself a fantastic birthday, my man. We love when low baggers are celebrating. Let's get you that cash tonight. I'm tailing 2 spots, and I wonder if I should jump on. You know what? I'm going to jump on the play of the day. Max is intense right now. I'm going to take 3 looks. I'm going to jump on that Army team total over 67.5 at -113. So I'm on George Washington -3, Navy +6.5, and I'm going to jump on that Army team total, which is the play of the day. Max, okay, let's go over people's plays right now because we got to put a bow on this show and put it to sleep. Alvin Smith is on the Pacers, Thunder, Lakers, Jazz, and Memphis. Roman Peddle's on Alabama -9.5. That's his play of the night. It's also on Colorado -5.5, Virginia Tech -7, South Dakota State and Memphis -3.5. Smart money is on Bradley and the under. Creighton money line, Duquesne +6 and the under 137. That is Jermel Wright is on SF Austin, George Washington, and George Mason. Trotwam's on Northern Iowa -6. That's a Trotwam look. And Matt Randall, play of the day, Colorado State -4.5. Maxwell Smart, play of the day, Army team total over 67.5. He's on American +1, Hartford -3, UC Davis first half under, UC Davis -3, McNeese State -2, Navy +6.5. Cal Baptist under 153.5. Cal State Northridge over 143.5. Loyola Chicago under 128.5. South Dakota State -2.5 and over 143. VMI over 140. Citadel over 150.5 +10 and also +10.5. Western Kentucky +1.5. Mercer -1.5. Western Carolina under 154. Duquesne +4. LaSalle +10. George Washington -2 and Dayton over 136.5. Teddy Covers is on Virginia Tech -6.5. Mark Unkefer is on DePaul -1. That's his play of the day. He's leaning towards the Bulls +1, Pacers -1, Jazz -8. And Ski Profit telling you to get to the window with the Jazz as soon as possible. William Cathcart, lock of the day, McNeese State -2. Dave Burks on a 2-leg parlay. Jackets money line, Wild money line in regulation. Shadows on the Nuggets, Toronto first half, DePaul, UNLV, Nevada over 144. Jackets puck line and Detroit, Minnesota over 6. That's our guy, Shadow. In the association, I made moves on Spurs first quarter +1 and first half +2. Teddy Covers is on the Spurs full game +3.5. He's also on the Pacers -1, the Nuggets +8.5. And the Bulls +1. I doubled up on player props in Timberwolves Bulls. Marketing over 15.5 points. Cat over 25.5 points. I'm thinking of a Porter Jr. prop and a Lou Will prop as soon as that's announced. I'm going to watch Jammin' with J Money, which pops off in 22 minutes here, to see if I'm going to make any additions. I did not pull the trigger on those LeBron props. And those are the only looks I've made. I've got more work to do on this NBA card. In the NHL, I'm on the Winnipeg Jets first period at +156. Winnipeg Jets first period at +156. DJ Big Boss is on Drake -6. Canascat's on Lehigh -3. And that is the action here on the show. Max, spectacular work breaking down this giant card. I look forward to watching what you do on Twitter, what additions you make on Twitter. Max has a new Twitter handle. We're hoping we get the old one back because we've got plays we've got to add to his card, winning plays we've got to add to his record. There's Max's new Twitter handle. Jump on and follow him. Max, much love to you. Thank you for all your hard work. Also, thank you to our guests, Parlay Poppy and Teddy Covers. Max, my man, can you leche us into the future? Stick around and watch Jammin' with J Money in 21 minutes. And also, please hit that link at the bottom of the screen, www.sbrvideo.com/thebag. Also, join us. We're going to put out the actual card for our big Beat the Bag Pegasus contest. We're going to give you all of the form tomorrow, but jump on the forum. I'm going to put it here in the link while Max leches us out of here. Max, can you take it away?
Jim, obviously, rough night, came back down to earth. We're going back to the stars tonight, and we're going to be taking this cock soup syringe and serving it to all of our bookies the way that God intended us to. And of course, leche a most bookmaker.